Well, good afternoon. Really nice to see you guys here today. Obviously, my name is Daniel Burton. I am not John E. Thomas. You guys have seen me on here a few times with John. John can't be with us today. He's preparing for a conference and recovering. So we really ask for prayers as he's just overcoming. He's doing good. He's coming out at the end of just a seasonal thing that seemed to have been going around. So I will be with you guys today, interpreting dreams, taking on interpretations, doing my best to engage, teach through some of the principles of what we're using in terms of um, interpreting dreams according to the biblical interpretive model. So that is going to be the goal today. I am going to I'm going to ask you guys if you can to share, to follow, to like this on YouTube, share this on your social media pages. We love what we do and we believe in what we're doing, and it really takes a community to get the message out. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go to YouTube, click the subscribe and click the notification button, as well as click the like. It helps us get the message out there of hearing God better. So to start off with this week, we actually have a few really interesting things before we get into dream interpretation. Just throw some comments up on where you guys are tuning in from. We'll get into the dream interpretation piece in just a sec. This weekend here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we actually have our Prophetic Reformation Reset Conference, which has been phenomenal. Last month, we had our Prophetic Reformation Source Conference. John and I taught through returning to the original source of prophetic ministry. We had a phenomenal time in the Spirit. We had an outpouring of joy on the Saturday night. We had amazing impartation as well as an incredible move of God on the Sunday night. So I'd encourage you, if you're thinking about, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you're thinking about coming out to Prophetic Reformation, you can still register online at streamsministries.com. Ken Fish and John will be talking through how do we reset prophetic to where it needs to go as part of this Prophetic Reformation. That's going to be Friday night, starting at 7 p.m. all day Saturday and Sunday evening. We are also going to have something on the afternoon. So we're going to have our Academy taster. So we've talked a lot about Streams Academy here on the channel and here on our Facebook Lives, but it is a 2-year in-person Bible school that teaches you how to go deeper in spiritual realities, deeper in the scriptures, and actually live the vocational Christian life, being led by the Spirit, being a minister wherever you go. And it's been in the heart of John for nearly close to 2 decades to actually create a Bible school that not only equips in the supernatural, but really equips in the scriptures, as well as emotionally healthy spirituality and all of these different components. But we are going to be having a taster this Sunday afternoon. If you're in the area, it is open. It's going from 3 until 4:30, but I just want to play you this video so you get a feel for what our heart is with Streams Academy.
There is more to Christianity than going to church. We serve a God who speaks and moves miraculously through his people. Streams Academy equips you to fulfill the purpose God created you for. Join others that are hungry for more, pursuing his presence and voice, and discover how much you can grow. Streams Academy is now offering Associate of Science diplomas in prophetic and revelatory training and biblical dream interpretation. Experience a taste of Streams Academy and see if this is your next step towards fulfilling your destiny.
So as you can see, we're going to have that event this Sunday afternoon from 3 to 4:30. What it'll involve is John's going to share the vision of Streams Academy. We're going to have Streams Academy students who have already participated in our online audit program. So Streams Academy has 2 different ways that you can engage with it. The diploma program, which is the in-person Bible college for 2 years here in Dallas-Fort Worth, or the Streams Academy audit, which is the online. There's no diploma that's connected to that. All the curriculum, all the coursework is exactly the same. All the content is there. There's monthly Zooms. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, actually bi-weekly Zooms that's going on with our online Streams Academy. But some of the students who have graduated, some of our alumni will be there. We'll be doing prophetic activations and just connecting around what we believe to be the vision for this next season for Streams Academy. So yeah, we would really love to see you guys there. Let's just flip the script a little bit and get into some, see where people are tuning in from and see if we have any dreams that are being submitted. Okay, so we are seeing greetings, shalom, London, UK. Really nice to see you on here. From Australia, well, isn't that a funny thing? I am also from Australia, Felicity. Wonder where you're from. Hello from Fresno. We have Pretoria, South Africa. We have Botswana, Buffalo, New York, Canada, California. Okay, so we've got a couple of people jumping on here right now. We've got a couple of dreams that are kind of starting to throw up here. So let me just start off with, okay, so Janice Bamberger's got a question. What does it mean to be able to jump into the air and fly? So Janice, one of the things when it comes to dream interpretation that we have to be very careful with is a dream element is determined, its meaning and its function in a dream is determined by the overall dream. So what happens is, and we could say traditionally we've seen in dream, dream language, people will say, for example, a car is always a ministry. Now, a car isn't always a ministry. A car can represent transition. A car can represent movement. A car can also represent ministry. But it's going to determine the revelation from the dream and the context of the dream is always going to determine what the dream element means. So this element alone can mean, I'm not saying 100% that it means, it can be you beginning to jump into the things of the spirit and go higher into the spirit. So in a dream, while you're finding that you're able to jump and fly in the air, there is an invitation for you to come up higher and begin to experience the things of the spirit in a higher way. So that's one way we could look at the dream. Now, if the dream was, that's a positive interpretation of that element. Now, if the dream was particularly a warning dream, this could be something that the Lord is saying, hey, you are trying to jump into the things of the spirit under your own power, and you need to make sure that I am initiating it. So this one element of jumping into the air and flying could be a positive, it could be an encouragement, or it could be a correction. So once again, Janice, the dream itself will determine the meaning, but that gives you two possible ways of looking at that element. So I hope that that's helpful. Okay, we're going to just have a little bit of a scroll down and see what we have going on in terms of dreams. Okay, so let me just have a look. I just want to start off a little bit and see. Sometimes, guys, when you throw up a dream here, it's kind of names mean something to you, but don't always mean something to me as I'm trying to interpret the dream. So I'm going to be kind to myself. Normally it's John and me interacting. It's a very different thing when you're sitting just in front of a camera and I can actually see the reflection of my own face in the camera. Feels like I'm talking to myself. So I'm going to find just a little bit of a simple dream just so I can get myself warmed up and in the flow of what's going on. Okay. Let me have a little look here. Lots of dreams getting thrown up. Janice said, I often dream like this, so much freedom. Thank you. Okay, so that element rang true for Janice in terms of the flying element. Okay. Let me have a look. Okay, so Mary, and I'm really going to try not to pronounce your last name because I don't want to butcher it. An ex-boyfriend before I got married was trying to get me back, and I seemed to be single in the dream and reconsidering, but it seems to be the mum who likes me, and I'm not sure if this is okay. So this is actually really, really helpful, Mary. What we see often when we see former partners, former seasons, whether it's an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, and their family members, it is representative in this dream particularly of a former season. So a way of life that we used to live according to that we don't live now. Now, in the dream, you appear to be single. So there is a very interesting key there. When something is different in a dream, for example, if something is overemphasized or something has changed, that tells us that there's an emphasis there that we need to be mindful of. So you have an ex-boyfriend before you were getting married that's trying to get you back. He's trying to lure you back into the relationship. Notice that you're single in the dream and you seem to be reconsidering it, but it seems to be the family who likes me and I'm not sure if it's okay. So this dream, I believe the Lord is letting you know that there are some behaviors that are from a former season that you need to be careful to not bring into now. There are things that you walked in this relationship prior that don't need to come into your marriage relationship now. So this would be in the context of a warning dream, the Lord letting you know that there are behaviors and things that you might be considering in the natural that he's given you a warning to not consider those behaviors because they are a former way of doing things and don't need to be brought into the now. So Mary, I hope that is helpful in the context of the season and where you are at. So let me have a look and see what else we have going on here. Okay. Yeah, Mary, you recommented that one, so we already did that one. That's good. Okay, so let me have a look. So, O Tucker, told there's a firefly in the living room. I'm surprised. One firefly then joins another, then a whole swarm of them visible. There was a message. First, it's, and then the next message, it's time. So this is kind of interesting. I'm not entirely sure I know how to approach this dream, but I want to workshop it a little bit for you guys, because sometimes when we get on and do, for example, live dream interpretation, sometimes there's certain dreams that are not actually interpretable. Sometimes it's good to recognize, hey, I'm kind of stuck in the process, and talk through how we approach some of these elements. So there's a message that there is a firefly in the living room. The living room can represent a place of rest. It literally could represent where you are currently living right now. And you are surprised that there's a message coming. There's only one firefly. There's only a little bit of light coming into the situation. So we're going to look at the fireflies because they don't feel like a negative element here. Normally you see pests and bugs, and they can be negative elements, but a firefly is something that brings light, that is something that we look at and we behold, and there's a beauty connected to them. So a little bit of light came into the lounge room, and then all of a sudden, all of them became visible. So what started off as a little bit of light in this season for you is going to become illuminated into a greater light, and hence the message, it's time. It is time for a greater light to be revealed to you in this season that you are now currently in. So this is an encouragement from the Lord, letting you know it is time to expect the light to come into this season and to reveal not only messages, but also to bring greater illumination to your life. So that's a really encouraging dream, O Tucker, and I hope that really helps. Okay, let me scan down. Okay, I'm just having a look. Okay, A Tucker, that really helped. Thank you. Good. I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, so let me just ask this. No, sorry, Naomi. You guys are so quickly popping up on stuff. Naomi, I will get to you in a second because I did click on that. So Rosalinda Camille is asking, hello, I have been having a lot of neutral and black and white dreams. Can they all be soul dreams? Well, black and white dreams will normally indicate to a large degree what the enemy is trying to do in our life, because the enemy is devoid. He cannot create color. He cannot create anything. So he is stuck kind of within black and white or within muted colors. So normally when we're having a lot of neutral black and white dreams, sometimes the color is not the emphasis in the dream because the message is, and there is a place for that depending on the dream. But also when we see black and white, we know that there is some level of warfare connected to that dream. A soulish dream would have more muted colors. So as like under for example, walking around at night and you see a street light and you can see the color of the car under the street light, you can make out the colors, but they're muted, but they're dim. That would be more the color scheme of a soulish dream. Not to say that black and white can't be soulish, but I would say that if you've been having a lot of black and white dreams, that there is an element of spiritual warfare and the enemy bringing what we would call dark dreams to try to get you into agreement with what you're dreaming. So one of the ways that we would approach a black and white dream, once again, we're not trying to be interpretive legalists, but we're trying to approach the dreams in a very healthy manner, in a very metaphorical manner, is if you are having a lot of black and white, and they could be fear dreams, they could be dark dreams, one of the ways that we would use that dream is we would kind of flip the script. So if you're having a black and white dream where you seem to be suffering a lot of loss and everything that you're putting your hand to seems to fail, this tells you that the enemy's intention is for you to fail in this season. But we know that we flip the script and it's God's intention for the things that you put your hand to in this season to work out for good. So that would be how I would approach some of those black and white dreams. Not necessarily soul dreams, but could be dark dreams, could be warfare dreams where the enemy is trying to get you into agreement. So I hope that's helpful, Rosalinda. I am going to pull up this Naomi one because I accidentally clicked it, and we're going to see what we come up with at Naomi. So hopefully you're still here. So in an old house where grandma lived in childhood, she and mom are so proud to show me the nail that grandma has on her actual thumb fingernail since long ago. It's a miracle still there, and I'm amazed and take a picture. Okay, this is an interesting dream. So now I've got to figure out, I've got to lean into revelation for this dream, but I've also got to figure out some of the elements. So the focus of the dream is obviously Naomi, but there's a couple of sub-focuses here that we also need to consider. So we actually have grandma and mom in a house that the grandmother lived in childhood. So there is an element here of something that is old, something that was lived in, something speaking to generational inheritance. This doesn't feel like there's a generational issue, but there is something that is being shown to you, Naomi, from the grandmother and from the mother. This nail that grandma has on her actual thumb fingernail since long ago, and it's a miracle. So I don't know whether that's a nail, whether that's a physical hammer and nail on her actual thumb fingernail since long ago. So there's something to do in your family line. We would look at the thumb as being something to do with the apostolic grace and something to do with the pioneering grace. So in this dream, there seems to be a message that there is something that has come down from grandma and from mom to you that is miraculous. It is unusual. It is to do with something that should not be there, but has been sustained by a miracle. There's something miraculous and pioneering coming down the lines, and you're amazed that it's still there, and you take a picture. So the Lord is giving you an invitation to get a vision for generational inheritance of things that have come down the family line that are miraculous, that are pioneering in nature, and things that you need to take note of in this season. So I hope that encourages you, Naomi. It feels like a real encouragement dream, the Lord just confirming some pieces. Okay. So there's some good questions in here. I do want to I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the questions, but this question is worth engaging with. So Chandrea, I'm going to assume that that's how I pronounce your first name. Rodriguez, I have 5 to 8 dreams per night. I always don't get to the interpretation because of the volume. How do you recommend managing? So one of the things in the life of the Spirit that we have to begin to cultivate and have an awareness of is that FOMO and fear of missing out and fear motivates a lot of how we manage the things that we get from the Lord at times. So because we are leaning into dream interpretation, because we're leaning into wanting to hear God, we need to make sure that our motivating factor is relationship. And we need to make sure that we're not afraid of missing the dream interpretation. Let me give you an example. It is the parent's responsibility to make themselves heard more than it is the child's to listen. So, for example, if a child was running out into traffic and you see danger coming as a parent, you would yell to get their attention. You wouldn't say, "Oh, be careful." Well, I said it one time, too bad if they get slammed by a car. That's just not the nature of how we do things. The parent would make their volume increase to make sure the message gets heard. So when it comes to dreams and when it comes to hearing from the Lord, if we're having 5 to 8 dreams a night, we're not remembering a lot of it, we're not interpreting a lot of it, there's a place where you just need to be at peace, Chandrea, and recognize that the Lord is speaking to you in spirit communication. You're not going to miss the message. He is going to make sure that his voice is heard because he is a good father and it's his responsibility for his voice to be heard. Now, we have a cultivation and a growth in relationship where we learn to hear the Lord in greater frequency. But in this season, I would say that if you are not able to get understanding from all of these dreams and you're having 5 to 8 a night, just rest in the fact that you're experiencing spirit to spirit communication. The Lord is forming something in you in the night. He's communicating messages to you in the night that is producing something in that you may not be able to interpret and measure, but you will eventually see the fruit of what these encounters are yielding for you in life. So if you don't get the interpretation of them all, just be at peace, be at rest. The Lord will repeat himself if something is being missed. And I hope that helps you, Sandrea. Okay, let me just take a drink of water, guys, because I've been talking for a hot second here. Okay, let me just have a look, guys. Wow, this is an incredible dream. So, DM, in a dream, all I remember is before me was a brick road, and both sides were golden yellow, beautiful trees, and bricks were golden yellow, and the borders of the road were a bright blue, felt peace. What an encouragement dream. The Lord is actually sending you a message. He's speaking to you in this dream that you are in a season of being on the path that is set before you. You see the gold of what is around, the gold of the bricks, and you see the gold of the trees. So there's a revelation of God's glory in this path that's in front of you, but it's bordered by blue. So the Lord is going to put in these boundaries of revelation to be able to walk into the path that it may seem very specific, and the path when the dream doesn't tell us this, but there is definite borders of revelation in the journey of what's in front of you. And this is an encouragement from the Lord that he is going to walk you in his presence, in his glory, with a path that's set before you, and give you the boundaries and the borders of revelation so you might know the walk that is in front of you and how to remain in it. So DM, this is a beautiful encouragement dream. So guys, I'm going to just keep scanning through. Some of the dreams, guys, are not interpretable. That's why I'm just trying to scan through. There's not enough details on them. Okay, I'm just trying to find something that's going to be a little simple. Okay, Camille Liang. I'm kind of intrigued by this one. So let's see where we go with this. I drove to an alley. Buses and cement trucks rush past towards me in both directions. I skillfully avoid collisions with the help of watchful drivers. Cement truck past me, begin to pour concrete, construction before park. So for those of you who are detail focused, you would be thinking about the concrete trucks, and you'd be thinking about foundation and all those things. So there could be an element of that to this dream. But the focus of this dream is clearly Camille, as you are driving in an alley. So an alley is not a main thoroughfare, is normally a narrow way that transitions you from one main road to the next. So it transitions you from a thoroughfare to another thoroughfare. An alley in and of itself is normally not the place that you're going to remain for a long period of time. It's a bypass, and it's somewhere that connects one place to another. And so this dream really is speaking to Camille that in this season of life that you have been in this transition from one busy road to another, and there's been things that you've had to dodge and navigate that have great weight, that have great ability, and cement trucks have the ability for destruction, or they have the ability for construction. And so there's been things around you that either have the ability to destroy or the ability to build, and people have navigated around this season. These obstacles have been navigated around this season, not just by yourself, but also to the people who are in this season with you right now in this moment of transition. And they've managed to navigate the things that could have been harmful away from you, and you've managed to navigate them as well. So this is an encouragement that you have come through this place of transition. You've avoided some of the dangers in this transitional piece, and you're about to see, and they start to pour concrete. So some of these places where they could have been destructive are going to start to be constructive. So I believe, Camille, that this is an encouragement dream for you, that you have navigated this transitional moment well. And the Lord is letting you know that you have avoided danger, and there seems to be a conclusion. If we take the pouring concrete and construction beginning to start before you park, cement truck drivers pass me, start to pour concrete before they park. So yeah, so there's that element of they could have been destructive. That instead of stopping and pouring the concrete, they've pouring the concrete, and it's coming out everywhere, and you've avoided it. So I would say that this is an encouragement that you've avoided danger, you've avoided obstacles in the midst of this transitional season, and just to keep your focus forward. So I hope that that's encouraging, Camille. That's an encouraging dream. It's a really good dream. Okay. Okay, let me just have a look, guys. Okay. Alrighty, let me just have a look. Okay, Isabel. So a lady grabs me by the hand and chases after Cindy Jacobs. Cindy Jacobs and her husband are in a hurry, but she stops. Lady tells her, I have something special. Lady tells her, I have something special. CJ tells me to prophesy, Cindy Jacobs, after she gives me her book to read about prophecy. Okay, so this is a really cool dream. Apologize for taking a sip mid-sentence. So this is an encouragement. This is an encouragement from the Lord, confirming some pieces of some calling for you. So Isabel, you're with a lady that you don't know. This is most likely feels representative of Holy Spirit bringing you to the prophetic, bringing you to somebody that represents the prophetic ministry, particularly the prophetic and intercession with Cindy Jacobs. And Cindy Jacobs and her husband are in a hurry, but they stop. So there's a time that's being made for you. There's an invitation being made for you to engage with the prophetic in this season. And the prophetic messenger in this dream, being Cindy Jacobs, says to you, prophesy, and recognizes the grace that's on your life for prophecy and to prophesy. In response to that, she hands you a book and says, read about prophecy. So there's an invitation to the Lord. There's something of a calling in this dream and a confirmation to calling that the prophetic message is recognizing the prophetic call on your life, but there's also an invitation to study the prophetic more comprehensively in response to this confirmation dream. So there's an encouragement, there's a confirming of call here. Whether it's actually a little instruction to read Cindy Jacobs' book on the voice of God, pray through that and figure that piece out. But there's an encouragement, Isabel, from the Lord to invite you into the process of leaning into what he has put inside of you already. You prophesied, but to grow and mature in it and recognize that this is being confirmed in this season. So I pray that that's an encouragement to you. Okay. Let me just have a look. Okay. So, Friedia Martin, I really hope I did not just butcher your name. Someone of importance, the boss of a job, so we would say an authority figure, someone who carries weight with their words, was speaking publicly about somebody who inspired them. I was surprised to learn that I was the person being recognized, totally unexpected. So, Friedia, or Frida, I do apologize for not being able to get the pronunciation correct or ask you how to pronounce it here on a live stream. This is a great encouragement dream, that there is a hiddenness, there is a humility that you have walked in that has been seen in somebody. And in this dream, I believe the Lord is confirming and actually recognizing about something that you are doing in secret that is actually going to be spoken of in public. There's an affirmation of this was inspiring, that you had carried yourself in a certain way. Someone that you had respected actually was inspired by you. So there is something in this dream connected to you being able to be connected to people that inspire you but have great weight according to their voices. And because of the hiddenness of your heart, the hiddenness of the season, the scripture that comes to mind is humble yourself and in due time you shall be exalted, in James. And there's something about the humility of how you've postured yourself that you didn't expect to be revealed and unveiled in this season, but this is speaking to there being a revealing of who you have been in hidden in this secret. And don't be surprised if it actually has some impact on people who have impacted you. So the Lord is really encouraging you of the hidden season and the hidden life that you have lived before him, and wanting to affirm that in this dream. So I pray that that is an encouragement to you. Felicity said, it's good you have kept the Australian accent. Couldn't lose it if I tried it. Okay. Okay, let me just have a look. Okay. And guys, if I've already interpreted a dream for you here, I'm not going to probably interpret another one for you. So if I've interpreted a dream for you, I'm probably not going to get to another one that you have actually posted. So I do apologize. It's just we have limited time. Okay, I'm intrigued by a couple of pieces. I'm just trying to figure out whether we're going to go here or not. Okay, so DM. I don't know if I've interpreted something for you already. I'm just going to scan up. I just want to honor what I just said. It's very weird doing this by yourself, guys. I don't know if you doing it with a friend, doing it with John is actually very helpful because we can dialogue and it doesn't feel like I'm sitting in a room by myself having a conversation with the camera. Okay, so DM, I just want to make sure. No, it was Ataka earlier on. Okay. Old Baptist church bathroom I used to go to. They're very religious and don't know Holy Spirit gifts. All the toilets were dirty. 2 people I know at current church walked in to help clean completely and used it. Okay, so let's walk through some of these pieces here, guys. So I want to kind of talk through the process of engaging with a dream like this and getting to the interpretation. Obviously, we want to get revelation, but we want to walk through some of the elements that are actually present here that have some significance. So DM, there's nowhere in this dream where you are interacting. So you're in observation mode. So this tells me that you are not necessarily the focus of the dream. Now, there's a message in the dream, but I don't believe that you are the focus here. You're observing an old Baptist bathroom that is dirty that you used to go to. So you have a connection. You recognize this particular bathroom. You recognize this particular building that there, and you said that they were religious and didn't know the gifts of the Spirit, and all of the toilets were dirty. So those toilets are speaking of a place of deliverance, a place where we get delivered of the things that defile. We get delivered of the things that could potentially poison us. We get rid of the waste issues. And the place where the waste issues were being dealt with in this area were actually needed to be cleaned. So 2 people at the current church that you're at walked in to help and cleaned it completely, and then they used it. So I would say that in the context of this dream, this is something that you're going to observe, that there are places of deliverance where there's deliverance from not knowing the things of the Spirit, maybe some deliverance from legalism that are coming into this current season. And while it's not your responsibility to do the cleansing and prepare the place for deliverance, you're observing something that you are going to see in this season as people who are in the current church make that place ready for deliverance. They themselves use it, so they're able to clean it, and then they're able to use it. So there is something to, I would say, partner with in prayer in this season, that there is a place for people to be able to get delivered and freed from issues, whether it's legalism and things that are not connected to the freedom of the Spirit. But you're going to see other people cleanse and make that place ready for other people to use. And to some degree, they will be a first fruits, the people who need to come in and cleanse those issues of what is going to happen. So I would just encourage you to pray into that in this season. And it's not necessarily speaking to something speaking to you that you are going through, but something that you'll observe. All right, I'm going to scan down the bottom here. Okay. Let me just have a look here, guys. Just try to find something that's in the flow. So Tina, I want to kind of address this. This is a common thing that happens, particularly as we begin to learn the language of dreams, we begin to learn the language of metaphors, because things can be very close to our hearts. The enemy has a tendency to throw fear dreams at us in a lot of respects. So we begin to dream about the issues of life that really affect our heart. We call these fear dreams. Now, in the case of a loved one, having dreams of getting shot and people trying to kill them, now this could be a fear dream. This could very much be a fear dream. If, Tina, they are actually a believer, this could also be a warning dream. We're talking about being attacked with there's a power behind the attack, being shot and people trying to kill them. Now, the important piece in some of these dreams is, how did the dream end? So there may be an attack, people he got shot, so maybe there was a wounding that came, but it didn't ultimately succeed in taking him out. There's an application that could be, and that feels more applicable in the spirit. I feel more of a witness that this is a warning that there are people in your loved one's world that are going to go to the attack. We're talking about something that's been weaponized. It's not necessarily a sword or a snake, but there's some real power and precision behind the attack that is not going to succeed in taking him out. So I believe that there would be a warning to pray into that this attack will not succeed. So that is one way that we can, and I feel that that is appropriate to this loved one's dream. Once again, I don't know the details of the dream, and the dream itself will determine the element, but there is something on this to just encourage that how the dream ends will determine what actually happens. So sometimes we'll have a dream of being attacked, and because we're being attacked, we're going to think that it succeeds. Oh, someone's trying to kill me, so therefore I've got to be careful. The enemy's trying to take you out. But in the end of the dream, you were not taken out. So there is a element there that we've got to be mindful of, that, hey, there may be an attack. The Lord may be warning us of an attack coming, but it will not succeed. So that we can pray into that I will weather this. There'll be no damage. Or even there can be intercession that the thing would be flipped completely. So dying in a dream or being attacked in a dream is very different from dying in a dream. Dying in a dream can speak of that there are things that are actually coming to a closure in a dreamer's life that is represented by dying, that there is something that is dying and something that is emerging. So once again, the elements on their own are not always helpful until they're in the context of an overall dream. So Tina, I hope that gives you some help and some instruction and some encouragement. So let's have a look what else is going on here, guys. Okay. Just scanning through. I'll engage with this. So Louise, while not a dream, Louise Rasea, but I saw a bright medium blue aura appear around my brother's upper body while he and I spoke about the youth ministry he leads here in Botswana. What could this mean? Not a seer, by the way. So while not a dream, it's also very helpful to engage with something like that. So when the seer realm begins to open up, we can begin to engage with seer stuff in the same way that we'd interpret a dream. So you're seeing your brother and you're seeing a blue light appear around his upper body, speaking of his core, speaking of strength, the work of his hands, while he's talking about youth ministry. So in a dream, this would be about that there is a revelatory grace coming onto your brother's ministry, the work of his hands, that is going to have an impact amongst the youth that he's working in amongst Botswana. So I would say that this is encouragement from the Lord to pray into it, to encourage your brother, that this blue light, this revelatory light is resting upon not only his heart, but also if it's over his body and hands, this can be speaking to the work of his hands, that there's going to be revelation coming onto his life about the work of his hands amongst these youth. So this is an encouragement. The seer realm kind of operates really similar to some degrees as dreaming. So it is metaphoric in a lot of ways and in nature. Okay. Luis said, thank you. This happened in real time. Awesome. I'm glad that was super helpful. So let's just have a roll through, guys. I'm going to try to interpret a few more dreams. And just have a look. Okay, so some of the dreams, just trying to find something that would be appropriate to interpret, given the context of what we're talking about. Okay, let's have a look here. Sorry, guys. There's just a couple of these that are not really interpretable. And I'm trying to get something that is going to be helpful for us all, to be able to talk. Okay. So Laurel, I know that there was a part 2 to this, so I'm going to just pop this up and scan down to see, because there was a part 2. So dreamt I walked out of the door at our current home. Light and beautiful path through trees went out, and large snowflakes were coming down as the tops of the trees were thawing. They were suspended, and I tried to catch one, but it went back up. What an amazing dream. So this dream is, the focus of this dream is clearly the dreamer. We have Laurel in her current home, speaking to your current season, your current where you are living, and you're coming out of it, and there's a light and beautiful path through the trees, and large snowflakes were coming down on the top of the trees and thawing, and they were suspended, and I tried to catch one, but it went back up. So in this season, there is beautiful light, and there is a path in front of you. Speaking of out the front door, right? So I walked out of the door at current home. It feels like it's out the front door. So there is a path in front of you in this season that is going to bring you amongst all of these trees. Now, trees can speak metaphorically of leaders. So bringing you in the midst of a company of leaders, and you're seeing the snow, you're seeing this begin to drop on the tops of the leaders. So I immediately, when I saw this comment, went to Isaiah, where it says, as the snow falls to the earth and waters the earth and does not return until it waters, so my word will not return to me void. I butchered that, but you know the verse. It's Isaiah 55. So there is something that you are walking in the middle of with a group of leaders, where you're going to begin to see the word of God begin to water them, and it's not quite yet the season for you to grab it. You reached out and it went back up. So it's not quite for you to grab in this season, but it is for you to observe. And knowing that you're walking this path in amongst this company of leaders in this particular season, maybe speaking of leaders, maybe speaking a group of growing leaders, but there is light and there is revelation and an encouragement to keep walking the path that's in front of you, because there is a watering that is going on in the people that you find yourself in. The word of God is beginning to come and water the leaders, resting on the tops, and it's achieving that which God is purposing. So be encouraged in this season. And I hope, Laurel, that encourages you. So I'm going to just keep scanning through, guys, just to have a little bit look. Okay, so this is a nice little simple one, guys. So Chandrea, I apologize if I've clicked on someone twice. Multiple dreams, going back to my old job to work, but my computer login will not work. Okay, so this is one of those dreams that we talked about a little bit earlier on in the broadcast, where we're going back to an old way of doing things. But the Lord is letting you know that the login code would not work. You are not able to work in the same way. So what you used to do the work in a former season will not work. And so there is something about you not returning back to old ways and trying to use old ways to get things done. So work would be speaking, old job would be speaking of what you're doing. So returning to the way of how you used to do things, using the things that worked, they will no longer work in this current season. So there's an encouragement, but also a message here. Don't go back to the former things. They will not work for you in this season. So there's also going to be an invitation out of that to find the new way that is in front of you, that the ways of the Lord that are being established for you in this season are not going to be old, but they're going to be fresh, and they are going to produce for you in this season what God has intended. So there's an encouragement in this dream as well, Chandrea, but also a recognition. Don't go back to the former things and the former ways of doing stuff. Okay, so let me just have another little look. Okay, so there's a couple of interesting ones here. So Tieku, I apologize once again. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce your name. My father walked up to me at church and gave me a long blue rope. What an encouraging dream. The Father is giving you a plumb line of revelation in this season in your church, and it is long. So there is something, what we begin to realize is the shorter the rope, the less movement we have to do what we are doing. So there is an encouragement in this season from the Father that there is revelation coming forward, and there's going to be a bit of freedom to move within that revelation until he begins to. Now, while this doesn't say this in the dream, When the rope gets shorter, your ability to do different things will decrease. John Paul called this, I can't even remember the protocol, the actual principle. I do apologize. But the rope gets shorter. The specificity of how we're going to walk becomes narrower and narrower and narrower. So it's the revelatory responsibility principle, I think, I do apologize, guys. It's a Wednesday afternoon and I'm a little tired. But that is a real encouragement that the Father is giving you a long rope of revelation, meaning you have a bit more freedom to move in this season until he shortens that. So be encouraged. Okay, I do apologize, guys. My phone is going off. I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb. So we're going to do a couple more dreams, guys, and then we are going to be closing up. I'm just going to find a couple more pieces here. Okay, so Esther dreamt I was crossing from one location to another, but had to pass through wilderness. I joked with others that were being led by a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire. Okay. Let me think about this. So there was a joke being made. Dreamt I was crossing from one location to the other, but had to pass through the wilderness. Now, there's a pretty clear message in there. There is a season of transition ahead of you. That is going to be wilderness. It is going to be coming into a place where it might feel like there's not a lot of life. And I joked with others that we're being led by a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire. But the good news is this is not something that is just you alone. That there is a group of you who are coming through this transition. And even though you didn't see the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire, what was actually interesting in the dream was that you had joy and humor to walk through it. So there's an encouragement as you are coming through this season of transition with the group of people that you find yourself with to keep a light heart and a good humor in the midst of this transition, because a merry heart makes good medicine. So not to take yourself too seriously in the midst of this season, but just to recognize that you are in transition. You had to pass through the wilderness. You will get to the other side, but keep yourself in good demeanor with the Lord. So, Esther, I pray that that encourages you. Okay. I'm going to probably grab maybe one or two more dreams here, guys. Okay, interesting. I'm just trying to find something that's going to be helpful for us. So one of the patterns that I'm noticing with a lot of the comments is there are a lot of warfare dreams and a lot of dark dreams going on. So when we see nighttime dreams, something's happening at night, you know that this is something that the enemy is trying to do. And so if you are dreaming at night, majority of the time, when it's dark and at night, there is something that the enemy is trying to do in hiddenness that the Lord is actually letting you see. So we are going to flip the script on one of those dreams. So there's a lot of those dreams tonight. I don't particularly want to go into too many of them, but just to give some basic principles. I'm going to grab one more. The question is which one? Okay, so Claire B, I'm going to just throw this up here because this is one of those nighttime dreams, and this would be actually a good way of us workshopping for a few of the other dreams which have been popping up on the comments. So my good friend and I were doing something hard at night. It was very dark but peaceful. We looked like adults, but in the dreams, it felt like we were children. Okay, so let's flip this. There is something that the enemy is trying to do that's going to produce a false peace. And it's actually going to cause you to become less mature. He's attempting for you guys to be moved out of, we look like adults, but in the dream we felt like we were children. He's trying to diminish what he has been doing in you and your friends' lives. He's trying to do this through hiddenness, and he's trying to do this through false peace. Now, whether this is peace keeping where there's no challenge to some of the issues, I don't know. But the encouragement here is that the Lord's intention for you is to be established in true peace, but also for you to mature, to not feel childish or feel less than in this season. But there is a maturity that is going on for you in this season. And I'd say it's probably connected to you and your friend, because you and your friend are in the dream. You remove the friend, the dream doesn't really happen the same way. But there is something that you guys are doing in this season that the enemy is trying to get you to labor through false peace and trying to get you to do according to what he's trying to do, as opposed to the peace that the Lord has given you. So I hope that that's an encouragement. Okay, Claire, good. Thank you so much for that interpretation. It's always really good to get feedback when we are doing interpretation. I'm going to just try to find a couple more. I'm going to try and do 2 more little small guys. Okay. So thank you for being on here. I know that it's not always entertaining when someone's scanning through online comments trying to find a dream to interpret. But I am trying to keep this pretty pointed. Okay, let me just find one more. A lot of dreams where we've got a lot of warfare dreams. We've got a lot of former season dreams that I'm seeing. I'm trying to find a different kind of dream just to be able to interpret, just so we've got some variety in terms of some of the messages. Okay. So Felicity, John, good question. How do you pray about these dark dreams? So what we would do is we would flip the script. And the fact that we're having a dark dream is that the Lord is permitting us to see what the enemy is doing. So we know that the Lord already has the upper hand. And so we begin to pray in agreement with what the Lord is revealing. If we see an attack coming, we know it's the Lord's desire to preserve us. So we will start praying and coming into agreement. Father, I thank you that you are preserving me in this season, that you are letting me see these attacks that are coming. Father, would you just keep me in close to you so that I don't try to fight this in my own strength, but I walk in the revelation that you have given me according to this dream. Father, that you would keep all attacks. And so this is how we would begin to partner with praying through those dark dreams. We would begin to just flip the narrative. The enemy is attempting to do this, so we know the Lord's intention is to preserve us. So we're going to flip that, and we're going to pray according to the flipped dream more than we are the dark dream. So that would be one way, Felicity, that you engage with that dream. I'm going to grab one more dream, guys. Joan asked me a really good question. Actually, let's finish with this. When you say some dreams are uninterpretable, what do you mean? All interpretation belongs to the Lord. And if revelation's not being released, I can't interpret it. So when I say it's uninterpretable, it may be uninterpretable right now. It may be a matter that is hidden for a later season. We see in the Bible where it says, lock up the vision, for this is for a later time. Not every dream that we have is to be interpreted in the season that we have it in. There are some things that we need to carry until the Lord is willing to reveal the revelation on what that looks like. Biblically, when you see Joel 2 and Acts 2, Peter is standing in the midst of something that had been known, that had studied, that had been spoken of, but all of a sudden they are now in a moment where it has been unveiled. And he said, this is that which the prophet Joel spoke about in Joel 2, saying they stepped into a moment where the revelation of that scripture became unveiled to them. And they said, aha, I now perceive what this was saying. Dreams can be like that. So some of the dreams that are being thrown up here for interpretation, the reason why some of them are not interpretable is because whilst they are pregnant with revelation, there is no permission to interpret and unveil what is in the dream. So that is what I mean by some dreams are uninterpretable. When it was back to the young lady, particularly, that was having 5 to 8 dreams a night, John's also mentioned on this broadcast that scientists, through observation and through affecting a particular hormone in the brain of animals, have realized that animals dream at night, and their dreams are actually releasing and imprinting their nature, their hunting habits, and their function in their dream life. And I would say that there is an element of that is really true about some of our dreams. There is something that is being communicated in encounter, in spirit to spirit encounter with the Lord, that is conforming us to the image of the Son, that is causing us to come into greater character, greater development. He's beginning to speak to our spirit man things that we do not yet perceive. To give you another example of this is Pharaoh had a dream and he's like, I know that I don't know something. So he wasn't able to get the meaning of that dream. That happens with us a lot. I know that I don't know something. And so revelation is always an invitation into relationship, not necessarily, when we have a dream, it's not necessarily the invitation to the skills, but it's the invitation to the relationship that is of greater importance when it comes to interpreting dreams. So I hope, Joan, that that's helpful. I know I answered a few more questions and interpreted a handful of dreams. I just wanted to be mindful of where all the dreams were at. That really helped. Fabiola, you just jumped on and said, how often is this talk available? So dream interpretation, Live at 5 dream interpretation is going to be on the third Wednesday of every month, 5 p.m. local Texas time here in the US. So that is when that is going to be happening. Once again, guys, thank you for joining us here on the live stream. If you really believe in what we are doing and you can really help us in terms of getting out the word on what we're doing, please comment, please like, please subscribe, check the notification bell, share these videos on your socials platforms, whether it's Facebook, on Instagram. If you don't follow us on our socials, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, Streams Ministry International. And if you are in the area, or even if you are wanting to join with us virtually, please come and join us at our Prophetic Reformation Reset Conference, which is this weekend. You can come in person or you can purchase a virtual ticket, which means that you can watch all of the sessions live through private links as they are happening, and you will have access for that for a minimum of 7 days after the conference. All the information for that can be found at streamsministries.com. Go to the menu, live events, and you're going to find Prophetic Reformation. So, guys, this is going to wrap up our time today. Thank you so much for being with us. I hope that you have been blessed by these dream interpretations, and I hope that you've learned something as we've been walking through these dreams. And I hope this has been a blessing to you. Guys, we look forward to seeing you in more of these videos in the coming days and the coming weeks, and keep an eye out for more content, more impromptu lives as John and I do conversations around Prophetic Reformation. John's got a lot of things in his heart for this season, so keep an eye on this channel. Thank you so much and be blessed.